From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast studio in Raytown, Missouri. I am Dale Carter. He is Kurt Wheeler, and our podcast is presented to you in part by my good friend Bob Watson at State Farm Insurance. I'm wearing the colors today. I have the State Farm Bob Watson shirt on. All the regular things that we tell you about State Farm, it's certainly the brand that you know. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Bob Watson has been there, has been my State Farm agent for over 30 years, and he has been a State Farm agent for over 50 years. But what I want to get across today, if you're a State Farm customer, you should be checking your mailbox. And if you get something from State Farm, for God's sake, don't throw it away. You know, a lot of times I get junk mail here and there, and I got 4 envelopes in the mail from State Farm. And I'm like, must be policy renewal or whatever. And I opened the first one, and there was a check in there. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Is it my birthday? And so I keep going through the envelopes, and because I have 4 policies with Bob, I got 4 checks. Well, it turns out I was not alone. State Farm has sent out dividend checks to the tune of $5 billion.
With a B.
Yeah, because they had a great year. And when you're a policyholder with State Farm, it's almost like you're a shareholder. So when they have a good year, you get the dividends. And I've also noticed my rates have been going down. So it's a great time to get a rate check with Bob Watson. Call him at the office there, 816-229-7878, licensed in Missouri and Kansas. With Bob Watson and his team, you get a great team that's going to take care of your every need, and the costs are going down. Why would you not want to get a rate check? Get that today with Bob Watson at State Farm, 816-229-7878. So the campaign is going well. Honestly, between you and me and our Facebook audience, November 3rd can't get here fast enough, because when you get into these things, oh my God, it's like a slog. It's like, I got to be here today. I got to be there today. Doing this, doing that. Tonight, we've got a big event going on in Lee Summit. Saturday, there's something in Independence. And between all of that, out knocking doors, meeting voters and all that. We did put together an introductory campaign video, which I've shared on all of my social media, so we thought we might share it here on the podcast.
The Jackson County Legislature. Hi, I'm Dale Carter, running for Jackson County Legislature. Yes, I'm that guy you've heard on the radio. I'm running to make things better in Jackson County, to fix our tax assessments, to bring order back to county government, and make it less of a sideshow.
Public safety is one of the keys of county government. I've been endorsed by the FOP Lodge 50. When I was on the Blue Springs City Council, we built that building behind me. You'll find my name on the cornerstone.
Oak Grove's an important part of Jackson County. You wouldn't know it by looking at our county roads. We need to do a better job of road maintenance in northeastern Jackson County.
The 5th District of Jackson County runs from eastern Independence through Blue Springs, Grain Valley, Oak Grove, all the way here to Buckner and over to Sibley and Levis. I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd.
All right, so there you go. It's going to be an interesting election. If there was, and I've said this before, I said this 4 years ago when we had Teresa Cass-Galvin on the podcast with us, and Frank White was so unpopular. He would become so unpopular that he would be recalled. You got to be really unpopular to be recalled as Jackson County executive. So I thought Teresa would win. She did not. What is it going to take to wrest control from the Democrats that have run this county since the very beginning? They've been in charge for 200 years. 200 years.
It's a long time.
What the hell is it going to take? We're 4 for 4 with the last 4 county executives, and I'll run through them for you. Catherine Shields, she was probably here before your time.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, she was indicted. Not convicted, but indicted. Mike Sanders followed her. He was indicted and convicted of messing around with his campaign fund in a really silly way. And I know Mike really well, and I think Mike's a really smart guy, but he did some dumb things. Frank White, as we mentioned, was recalled, and another good friend of mine, Phil Lavoda, is under indictment. You know, it's funny because the guy I'm running against, When the news came out that that there was an indictment and he was going to have a press conference and all that, he immediately, this is Democrat on Democrat here, he immediately went to his Facebook page and said, Phil LaVota must step down. Now, I'm Phil's friend. I wanted to hear the other side of the story because there's always another side of the story. And I still think it's really thin. Phil managed to get the trial put off until after his term, and my dealings with him since then have been nothing to do with the indictment, have all been about, hey, this is coming up, you need to know about that, blah, 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 the inner workings of Jackson County. But make no mistakes, the Democrats own everything that has gone wrong in Jackson County. How can they not? Right now they hold a 7-2 supermajority on the legislature, and again, there has never been a Republican county executive. They own this. Will this be the year, or will Democrats in Kansas City overwhelm like they usually do? Turnout's going to be the key. I spent the week with constituents in District 5, still showing up in places. We had a town hall in Levacy. Up there in the Fort Osage Township, that whole area, you're familiar with this BEST thing, right?
No.
It's a battery storage facility. These companies are putting battery storage facilities everywhere. And where it relates to northeastern Jackson County, they want to drop these things in on farmland. You know, I mean, I talked to a farmer up there who they want to butt it right up next to her house, and she feels like they've moved the stakes so they can get even more of her property.
Right.
That's probably going to be litigated in court. She's going to be a guest on the podcast down the road here. But you know, what if something goes wrong? These people are farming. They've got crops up there. They've got livestock. You know, why are they doing this? I don't understand it. Why don't they put these things in industrial areas that are already zoned for it? Why are they trying to do this? So I'm up there working with those guys, and I told them I'd do my best to block it. It's not a red or blue issue. It's common sense, right? My opponent, on the other hand, I don't know that he could find Levacy if he put it into Google turn by turn. I don't think they've ever seen him up there. He's continuing to raise money through Act Blue. We've talked about that a little bit. And honestly, I'm reading more and more about Act Blue because I'm really interested in it, because he puts out a post at least once a week saying, hey, give me $20, give me this, blah, 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 Act Blue, blah, blah, blah. And then I look at his MEC reports, Missouri Ethics Commission, and there's no towns anywhere near here who have contributed to him. And it is so shady, in fact, that regular Democrats, run-of-the-mill Democrats, they're not raising money through this anymore. It's just the very liberal and the DSA, Democrat Socialists of America. And we've got a couple of clips we're going to show you on this.
I want to take a moment to highlight a section of an Act Blue employee training document. Your company's memo states, and I quote, "If an otherwise legitimate donor uses a fake name, we would want to accept their donation," end quote. Can you confirm whether this is the advice that you give to your employees?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
She watched the Fauci thing.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
That was a layup.
That was a layup.
That's what we call a layup.
So we got another one, too.
All right. Whoops. Sorry. Copy, paste, enter.
FEC data shows that some senior citizens across the U.S. have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to Act Blue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day, for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to Act Blue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing a lot of stories about Act Blue, and, some people are still using Act Blue, including the guy that I am running against. He's trying to deflect and say he's not being controlled by the special interests. So by implication, I think he's accusing me of being, controlled by the special interests.
Right.
When we go through my MEC report, you see friends of mine. I mean, I don't think they're special interests. Right?
They're special to you.
Well, they are special to me, and they think I'm going to do a really good job on the Jackson County Legislature, and that's why they've stepped up. Gail Worth, Gail's Harley-Davidson, Mark Muller, Max Motors, Bob Watson, State Farm agent. These are people, Dr. Mark Taramina, who was a sponsor on this podcast before. These are my friends, and they are coming to the table because they want to see that I win and become a very loud voice on that Jackson County Legislature. I do have an outside voter. I'm out-of-state voter. Mm-hmm. My mom. And her special interest is that I never move back home. And so far, I've lived up to that. So
yeah, I mean, it's like you have all this money coming from out of state, these national advocacy organizations, quote unquote grassroots organizations with super shady practices, and you don't want to. It's like pot calling the kettle black.
And they have no tie to this area.
Yeah, none.
So at least my mother has visited this area.
That's right.
A few times.
She has a tie to the area through you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has at least one grandchild who lives here. So there you go. So again, my message is to Republicans, and share this. And Kurt's going to tell you in a second how you can share this. But if you have seen enough in Jackson County, you got to turn out. I mean, they tell me demographically, the suburbs now overwhelm the city. If that is true, and if there are more Republicans in the suburbs than Democrats, by math, we ought to be able to turn this thing around. And if you sit on your hands and you don't vote, you have nobody to blame but yourselves. And I always tell you, if you don't vote, don't bitch. You can't do both. You can't complain about all the taxes and the added taxes that the Democrats want to add. If you don't vote, you got to get out and vote. So how can they share this message?
Well, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube or Rumble for the video podcast. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the link with your friends, and then join in the Facebook conversation as well. You can also find the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. And if you want to contribute to my campaign, you can always do that on my page, dalecarter.us. Some places you got to put the 3 W's on it. I've done it just dalecarter.us on my phone, and it says that site's not there. So put the 3 W's in there, /donate, and help out where you can. Royal Roofing and Solar. Let me tell you, Austin Watterson has been very busy. How bad was the storm here the other night?
It was pretty bad. We missed the brunt of it, I think. I was just in a meeting this morning, and people were talking about. And last night, I had another meeting last night out in Wyandotte County. They got hit pretty hard, I think, out there.
We saw the apartment complex down by downtown airport. I mean, it's a fairly new apartment complex. Roof got ripped completely off.
Wow, really?
Yeah. 64 people got displaced out of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So Austin's been very busy. He's been going around looking at roofs, giving people estimates on what they can do next. And, I heard a commercial for another roofer, so I'm going to steal their idea without mentioning who the roofer is.
Sure.
You don't want to play roofer roulette. Right?
Oh, yeah,
and just go with the first person that knocks on your front door. It's got to be somebody that you trust. I trust Austin Watterson. He did the roof on my house in a couple of different stages. He's done roofs for fans that we have. I know Mark Zarda got a Royal Roofing and Solar roof from Austin Watterson. You got to pick somebody that you trust, somebody who's got W-2 employees. That makes a huge difference. 1099 employees are not covered by that company's insurance. They're covered by your insurance. Trust me, I know which way Bob Watson would go on this. So get the estimate from Royal Roofing and Solar. And ask Austin about Tamco Hailguard. It's beyond Class 4. And obviously we're seeing some really harsh storms. Usually we get those in the spring. They've been all summer long, off and on. So maybe that's the new pattern we're in. Call him at 816-540-7057 and get the estimate. He's on the web at roofedbyroyal.com. Talking about maintenance, how about your vehicles? Have you had your oil changed lately, your tires rotated? We're about ready to go into fall, which means we need to get Tim Porter back on the podcast to talk about what you need to do for your car going into fall and winter. They take care of your car from bumper to bumper, all the tires, the oil, everything that could go wrong on a car. Christian Brothers Automotive will take care of it. Tim owns the one in Independence, right there on 40 Highway, just east of 291 470. Each one is independently owned and operated. They're all very clean, Christian-based. They'll take care of you. They'll shuttle you back and forth within a reasonable amount of space. 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on anything they do, whichever benefits you best. And it really starts with that first oil change. You'll find out what I know. If you don't know a lot about cars, these guys will hold your hand through the process. 816-795-6811 for the Christian Brothers location on 40 Highway in Independence. So we had
tremendous people.
Yeah, definitely tremendous people. A lot of blowback over last week's section on the NBA player who was, I assume, joking about declaring for the WNBA draft. I don't think he's really going to do it. One in particular cited that particular player has an order of protection to stay away from his own family. I mean, I don't know anything about the NBA. Do you? I know they play basketball.
I don't know about the NBA, and I know even less about the WNBA.
Yeah, but some of these people that when we post stuff, you got to get a sense of humor. It's not all go to your corner, pull out the daggers, and come out with bloody knuckles.
Yeah,
it's not all about that.
We're just talking here, guys.
Yeah,
like, you think that we're an expert on the WNBA? No, we're just talking.
We're just poking a little bit of fun. You got to have a sense of humor. I will tell you this: the WNBA had meetings, and they still can't tell us what the W in their logo stands for.
I am not a biologist. How can I be expected to define what a woman is? If you think you know how to tell the difference between a man and woman, please speak up.
Boys have a penis, girls have vagina.
I'm going to play that again.
I am not a biologist. How can I be expected to define what a woman is? If you think you know how to tell the difference between a man and woman, please speak.
I think that might be AI.
Is that AI?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Well, let's move to the next one. Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner won the triathlon as Bruce Jenner and then, became an adult, decided woman was the way to go. I will say that Caitlyn Jenner is still very conservative in a lot of ways, is a contributor on Fox News a lot. And Caitlyn Jenner says you got to follow the science.
XX you're in, XY you're out. It's that simple.
It's that simple. XX you're in, XY you're out.
A good job just to show the WNBA how the hypocrisy that's going on here. We have to protect women's sports. I have been coming on this show for years and years. I want to protect women's sports.
Right.
Title IX was one of the greatest legislations, and it was over 50 years ago, for women's equality. It happened to be in sports. But look at what it's done for women's sports. I don't want that to be ruined by letting biological men come in and play in women's sports. XX you're in, XY you're out. You can go play with the men.
X you're in, XY you're out. Or maybe it was the other way. I don't know. But it just seems like a fairly simple concept. And these lefties, they like, this is such a small portion of the population, and you're just being cruel and hateful to them. Really? I'm a live and let live kind of guy. Do what you want to do. If you're not hurting anybody, and you're an adult, go do whatever the hell you want to do. But it does hurt women, to Caitlyn Jenner's point, through Title IX. They have separated this out to give women a chance to compete, get ahead in life, scholarships, those kinds of things. And when you blur that line and when you make fun of it, you're gonna have this kind of thing go on. It's pretty simple. Caitlyn Jenner just followed the science. Mm-hmm. Science is science, right? This is the party of science, but they don't like it when you throw science at them.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Biting your lip there or whatever?
Yes.
I mean, here's my line in the sand. We all have our line. You've got your line in the sand. I got my line in the sand. I don't want to see any of this stuff going on with kids, right? If you're under 18, I don't think there should be any gender reassignment surgery and all this stuff. I mean, we've heard the horror stories of people who've gone through this And then as an adult, it's like, I was confused as a kid, and now I'm screwed because I can't do anything about this. When you're an adult and you make an informed decision, go with God, whatever your God is.
Is it an informed decision, though?
To them, it is
informed based on what?
When you're an adult, there are responsibilities and decisions that you make that are in your plate, right? You can make decisions as an adult, and you may look back 10 years later and say, "What the hell?"
Yeah, but there's a difference between saying you have the right as an adult or the responsibility as an adult for your own well-being, and saying, "Well, if you're an adult, it's fine. Go ahead." It's like. It would be like saying, well, there's a reason that we have a drinking age, because if you're under 21, you shouldn't get drunk. But if you're over 21, go ahead, go out and get drunk and, drink and drive and do whatever you want. No problem.
No, you're saying break the law. I'm not saying break the law. What's breaking the law if you're an adult?
Aside from the law, though, I'm just saying like just because they can doesn't mean they should.
In your opinion.
Yeah. I mean, based on like objective reality, though, it's not. I mean,
it's your opinion. We're never going to agree on that. I think I'm a live and let live kind of guy. If you're an adult and you're not hurting anybody else,
I just think we need to be honest with people. Like we were saying before, you were saying before, we're not afraid to offend people. It's like, yeah, because we want to be honest with people. Honesty is what's best for everybody, and sometimes you're going to be wrong, and sometimes you might hurt people's feelings, and you shouldn't deliberately hurt people's feelings. You should love everybody, but loving people doesn't mean lying to them. Loving people doesn't mean, just going along to get along.
I don't think it's any of my business. That's where I come in on it. It's really none of my business. It's none of my business that Bruce Jenner decided to become Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, it's kind of everybody's business. It's kind of everybody's business, though, when he's being brought on Fox News as an expert on gender ideology. Like, that's insane.
I think they're
going to have a guy in a wig come on Fox News to say men shouldn't play in women's sports.
All right,
like, look in the mirror, bro.
We're going to move on. And see, we don't agree on everything. That's fine. Okay, so I bet we're going to agree on this. Because it seems like the left seems like they feel like they own outrage on everything. And when we put up that the thing with the NBA player wearing the wig and blah, 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 some guy, I don't know if he's got trans kids or whatever, but he just came out both barrels blazing, and he went after my wife. My wife put a comment up and said, "Oh, you go." Right. And he went after her with a profanity-laced thing. And so I went after him, and I said, maybe you're the problem. Maybe we need an order of protection against you because you're leading with, obscenity and all that. And my podcast Facebook page is not a free and open forum, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's the page that's owned by this podcast, and we get to decide who stays and who goes. And if you color outside the lines that much, you're going to go. And I think I tamped him down a little bit. But I'm going to tie that into another thing that's going on here, and that is the execution of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione, the darling of the left when all this went on.
Oh, he's so handsome. Yeah. Oh.
Well, he cut a deal. And he stood up in court in New York, and he calmly confessed to every brutal detail, including posing as an employee, stalking Brian Thompson, and then in cold blood from behind, captured on video, shooting him in the head. You remember that, right?
Yep.
How in the world can you defend that? Yet there were people on the left who did that.
And this is not to say that an act of violence is justified, but I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. When we kind of talk about how systems are violent in this country, in this passive way, our privatized healthcare system is like that for a huge amount of Americans.
What happens when you turn this into the billionaires run it all is they get the opportunity to squeeze every last penny.
Yeah.
And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
I've always heard this, and I believe it to be true. Anything that you say after the word "but" takes away from the first phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always true, but it's very often true.
And it was true in those two clips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we denounce violence. Violence is bad. But anyways, this is violence that you're committing against us by the health insurance policy or whatever.
This bastard billionaire had it coming.
Yeah.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
I mean, will we see more violence like this from the tolerant left? I mean, that's the question.
Next video?
Yeah.
A movement. It is about Luigi, but it's also about the conversation he started. So if you were just here for a free, fair trial for him, that's not afforded to most people.
I see it more as a revolutionary act of protest, of the likes of which we haven't seen since the civil rights era. I want America to continue questioning, our current predicaments and why we allow our futures to be stolen away by oligarchs.
There you go. And if you don't like them, you just, stalk them, find out where they're going to be, sneak up behind them and shoot them in the head. And, people on the left will call you a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the way we think. And that's not what you should do. However, but you have a Second Amendment right, I would say responsibility, to defend yourself and defend your family. And the folks at Clay Como Shooters would never tell you to commit an act of violence as an offensive measure against someone, especially the cowardly way that he did it, shooting the guy in the head from behind. I mean, Brian Thompson probably didn't even know what hit him. Just 1 minute he's walking down the street, the next minute he's dead.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So defend your house, defend your family, defend your own life. Think about that moment when somebody kicks in your front door. You think you got time to call 911 and wait for a police response? Depending on the community where you are, that could be a long time. Depending on the community you call in, they might even put you on hold when you call 911. You may not have time. You need to be trained. You need to be ready when somebody kicks your door in and threatens your family. And Clay Como Shooters will make sure you are absolutely prepared. They're on 69 Highway in Clay Como between I-35 and I-435. Call them, 816-452-4867, or just go to the store. Find the right gun to protect your family and then get trained on it. These guys are law enforcement. They're former law enforcement, too. They train police. They can train you. They buy and sell guns, all major brands with the ammo to go with them, not a big box store. A neighborhood business looking out for you, an affordable indoor range to help with your training as well. Because without the training, what's the gun? You'll probably get killed with your own gun. You need to be trained with it so that you make the right decisions. Speaking of the right decisions, MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. That's the place you need to go on the web if you are approaching the age of 65. Because you, my friends, have through the course of your life, if you're 65 and you worked all that time, you paid in through the FICA tax that was withheld from your paycheck. You paid for Medicare. You need to go in there and get what is yours. Which plan, which part, which supplemental, because you'll need a supplemental to go with it. Kirk Doris is the guy who's navigated these waters for a very long time. He's helped thousands of people who are where you are. You can go see him at 3600 South Nolan Road in Independence, or he'll come to you. You don't pay him, the insurance companies pay him to make sure you find the right thing for you and your circumstances. 816-701-6661 on the web at MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. The guy who can simplify what is so complicated because it comes from the government. And we all know the government. They get their fingers into anything, and it all of a sudden gets a lot more complicated and a lot more expensive. But again, you paid for Medicare. You should go there and find out what you are entitled to get. Quick note about Medicare. And Social Security, for that matter. So, again, I keep coming back to my opponent because, I'm running for this office now, and it seems like he and I are communicating through the podcast. Mm-hmm. So, he was making fun of me about Medicare Simplified KC. Oh, he doesn't like social spending, but he'll take that.
So he watches the podcast.
He must. We got a new fan.
How's it going?
Yeah, we'll take fans any way we can get them. I disagree with the expansion of entitlements. And again, this is not a county issue, but I doubt many of the people on the far left have even read the county charter to know what the rules are, what you can do, what you can't do, because I hear him all the time ragging on, ICE agents in Kansas City. That's not in your purview. The sheriff is doing a fine job cooperating with ICE, and that should continue. So I paid into Medicare and Social Security. You have too.
Yep.
Yeah. We had no choice. Those pieces of legislation were passed before I was even born, right? I had no choice. First job I had, I'm paying FICA tax. So I am entitled to them when I retire. The left wants to expand government. By the way, this happened today. We hit $40 trillion on the debt. The debt clock hit $40 trillion. If Bernie and his friends in the DSA, if they get what they want, 40 trillion is going to be a small number. They want to add at least 10 trillion to it immediately. All right? And they'll tell you, we're going to pay for this by taxing the rich. We're going to go after the billionaires. Used to be millionaires and billionaires, and then Bernie, they found out, had houses in multiple places and is a multimillionaire. So they had to up it. And now we've got 1 trillionaire in the country, at least on paper. Elon Musk, I don't know if he still is or not.
Right.
So now it's billionaires and trillionaires. They're going to pay for it.
700 billion and $1,300 billion.
You know, and the sad part about all this, Kurt, is there are 40% in the population who just go, yeah, that's right. That's right. We're going after the man. Yeah. 40%. That's scary. The people in the middle need to be convinced, and they sway elections one way or the other. And I think my race for Jackson County Legislature is a microcosm of the bigger political landscape because, as you know, I believe in the private sector with reasonable guardrails. The government ought to stay in its lane and do what it does most efficiently, which in my view is very little. My opponent believes in an expansive government supported by new taxes. When he throws out all these grandiose ideas of everything he wants to do, anybody who is in his audience ought to ask one question: how are you going to pay for it? I mean, he's got an idea of how he's going to pay for it. He's going to put,
how much is it going to cost? I mean, most of the time they don't even talk about that.
New taxes is how he's going to pay for it.
Right.
And it will cost a lot, especially this rail scheme that he's talking about or the transportation scheme. I know because I was involved in it 15 years ago. Some of us actually did some things, and I was involved in all that. I know how much it costs, and I know why it won't work. But if he wants to keep campaigning on it, go with God. And I don't think he's a bad guy. I've never met the guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a little angry. You know, when we were in that forum together, I think he's a little angry, comes across that way. We just have a difference of opinion, and that's why we have elections, okay? If you want a smaller government that's responsive, that stays in its lane and works on its core competencies, it's a no-brainer. I'm your guy. If you think the government's not doing enough and you think Jackson County's doing a great job and they could add more responsibilities, they could do this, they could do that, and they'll do it a hell of a lot better than the private sector, vote for him. It's almost worth it to me that he wins, that they win. Because, I mean, I know how bad it is now. And with these bad ideas moving forward, it can only, the sideshow can only get better. Pop some popcorn. It'll be fun. So we've been 100% consistent on this podcast about the debt problem in the country, the unsustainability of programs the government's already committed to that workers like you and me have been forced to contribute to. The current debt ceiling, if you're wondering, why do they even pass a debt ceiling? What is the point? Right? They're going to keep spending and it's going to keep going up and up and up. But the current debt ceiling is $41.5 trillion. We just hit 40. And we did that fast. How long before these drunken sailors hit that number? And this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. The Republicans have had control for 2 years. They've had the presidency, the White House, and the House. Or the presidency, the Senate, and the House. They've wasted this 2 years. And we're coming up on a midterm, and Donald Trump's going to be a lame duck. I don't even know why people even talk about Trump anymore, because he's done. We're going to be focusing on the next election and who the next president's going to be, and if Democrats take control, what that's going to look like. That's the next conversation. I don't think Trump went far enough in cutting government. Certainly hasn't gone far enough in deporting illegals. You would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Senator Barack Obama would also agree.
The central components of immigration reform is enforcement, and this bill contains a number of important provisions to beef up border security. But that's not enough. Real enforcement also means drying up the pool of jobs that encourages illegal immigration, and that can only happen if employers don't hire illegal workers. Unfortunately, our current employer enforcement system does little to nothing to deter illegal immigrants from finding work. Just a few statistics. Overall, the number of workplace arrests of illegal immigrants fell from 17,552 in 1997 to 451 in 2002, even as illegal immigration grew during that time. One of the central components.
Yeah. I mean, where was that guy? Where is that guy now?
Yeah.
What changed? When you get a new job, I think it's been a while since I've had a new job. There's a form called I-9. Have you filled that out before?
It's been a little bit, but yeah.
You fill out the I-9.
Yeah.
Where's the enforcement mechanism on that? We should be going after employers because the I-9 form is supposed to determine whether you're an illegal or not. So if we're not already enforcing that, that is certainly one mechanism to ramp that up. And then the ironic thing is Senator Obama becomes President Obama. ICE, which came about after 9/11, all of a sudden with Obama as president, oh man, this is cool. Look at this. They're going into places. They're getting these illegals. This is great. Barack Obama, you're a great president. Donald Trump comes in, uses the same agency with the same head of it, Holman, and, he's Hitler. He's
and the same facilities, the kids in cages, started under Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key question is what he said there in that clip compared to now, what they're saying now and what he, I'm sure, is saying now. It's like, what's changed? Has the situation changed? No, the situation has not changed. It's gotten much worse, actually. Have the politics changed? Yes.
Well, I have a theory. The sanctuary cities have sprung up overnight, and you have to believe one of two things is true, that Democrats are so altruistic, they just want to bring the world to the United States, right? And love our country and live what the poem says on the Statue of Liberty. It's all for altruistic reasons. I don't believe that. I believe that's 100% horse shit between you and me. When you look at what's coming, 2030 will be here before you know it. And that is the next 10-year census in this country. So if you look at the Constitution says at the census, you count the people who are in the country, not citizens, the people who are in the country. So I talked about this last week on the podcast, but I'm going to renew it now. I'm calling for a 28th Amendment to the Constitution that only citizens are counted in the census. That's pretty simple, right? You don't need 15 lines for the thing. Only citizens are counted in the census.
Yep.
And let's see how fast altruism would be replaced by repealing sanctuary city laws. And all of a sudden, the Democrats coming back home to where Senator Obama was back in 2006. And we got to do something about this. Employers, you got to enforce all this stuff. We got to enforce the I-9 thing again. Where's ICE? ICE needs to be going in here. ICE needs to be going in there. I think if you pass that amendment, that would happen overnight.
Yeah, it would certainly force a shift in strategy, political strategy, without a doubt.
So let's float it out there, and I'm being as transparent as I can. My goal, Kurt's goal, a lot of us on the right, is that if you're not a citizen, if you are here illegally, you shouldn't be here. Not, oh, he's a good person, he's got family, he's contributing, blah, 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 blah. Well, if that's all true, there is a system in place for you to become a citizen. And there are people who do it every day. You're cutting the corner, and that's illegal. I would send all those people to the back of the line. You get to start over. You don't get $200 for passing go. You just have to start over. And we'll see how that goes. If we get that out there, with a big megaphone or whatever, I just wonder what the reaction's going to be to my 28th Amendment. What do you think the negative is going to be?
It could be on a nationwide petition in 10 years. You never know.
Well, it's going to need to be less than 10 years. We're at 2026 now. They got to do it in less than 4.
Yeah.
So, and prohibition happened in less than 4. Of course, that was a mistake, and they had to repeal it. This will not be a mistake. This is something that the framers of the Constitution never saw as a problem. Think about, we didn't have the travel that we have now. People were here, people were coming in. We didn't really have an immigration policy, but now we do. And now there are threats everywhere. And if you want open borders and you want sanctuary cities, you will not support my 28th Amendment. I predict that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today is National Hawaiian Pizza Day. We've talked about this before, I know. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
No.
Yeah, me either.
I'm just a plain and pepperoni guy, though, so maybe sausage occasionally.
Yeah. Although sausage does things to my innards that we don't want to talk about on the podcast. I like sausage. It doesn't like me. Can we just say that?
Yep, I will leave that alone.
Pepperoni's good. Cheese is good. You can get whatever kind of pizza you want. You want your toppings piled high? Then you need to go to the one place in town that does that, and that is Fun House Pizza. Jim Dingman's my guy. I'll bet he'll even put pineapple on it. Just don't eat it in front of me. I find that gross. I like pineapple. It's like you like this, you like that, but you don't want them together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 50 Highway in Lee Summit, 7 Highway in Blue Springs. In fact, I'm going to go see Jim on Monday in Lee Summit. I think I'm going to have lunch there when we're hanging out. Eat in, carry out, order online at funhousepizza.com. Get it delivered. Great pizza, cold drinks, fun atmosphere, and book your team party for the fall. All of that going on at Funhouse Pizza. If you'd like to have a change of venue, I'm not talking about court, I'm talking about your own house. If you're ready to move, my guy Michael Schroer is your guy. I saw him post on somebody else, I think it was Chad Taylor's thing, and Chad Taylor put up a thing of name a famous person you've met, and Michael Schroer said Dale Carter. I mean, really, Michael? You got to get out more. There's more famous people out there than me. But Michael's going to be your rock star if you're ready to move. You're ready to move from an apartment to your first house to a bigger house to a smaller house. Maybe you got a piece of land you want to build on. Michael is your guy. 816-373-8400. That's the office number for RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit. You can also reach him on his cell, 816-520-9342. And his email address is michaelschroer.com. That's michaelschroer.com. Hopefully, you can pause and play to get it spelled right. I mean, Michael's easy. Schroer's the tough one. Schroer. Yep. Michael Schroer. Okay. So we continue with the civil war going on in the Democrat Party. And again, getting back to my own race, that's kind of the microcosm that we talk about. Phil Lavoda, the announcements made that he's going to be indicted. And from the very left wing of his party, the response is, you must resign right now. Mm-hmm. We don't even want to hear the other side of the story. Right. There is no other side of the story. You must step down. And then you've got the Democrats that are in the middle, and we disagree with them too. They still want the bigger government and all that. They're just not the loony left that wants to shred the Constitution and basically destroy life in this country as we know it because they think we're horrible and corrupt, and they want to start over, and they've got a better plan. Okay, so with that in mind, the Florida primary was pretty interesting. Byron Donalds, who we've talked about a lot on the podcast, I love this guy. He is now positioned to succeed Ron DeSantis as governor of Florida. I haven't followed Florida politics. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he was running.
Yep.
But he's going to be the governor, it looks like, if the demographics hold up. Florida has never had a black governor. This is going to just rankle the left, especially blacks on the left. This is going to just piss them off like nobody's business, because they want to have their guy or gal be the first black governor of Florida, and that's not going to happen here. Donalds is an excellent spokesman for the conservative cause, and in my opinion, he would be a great governor of Florida. And also in my book, he gets bonus points, the same way that Winsome Sears, remember her, she was the lieutenant governor in Virginia, Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina. They get bonus points, in my view, because they have to overcome the majority of their race shaming them for not being down with the struggle. They found a way to do this without Al Sharpton, without Jesse Jackson, without the, as Rush Limbaugh, my hero, used to say, the NAACP.
What's that?
Liberal.
Oh.
The NAA, not really?
Yeah, yeah.
NAACP?
No, I get that. The L, yeah.
NAALCP. Yeah. So they get bonus points for that. Supporting the Constitution, wanting Americans to succeed, and be self-reliant is not a racial issue. Underline that, bold that. It is not a racial issue, and Byron Donalds knows that.
This state gave me a chance. I went on to spend 17 years in banking, finance, and insurance, and it prepared me for the very real economic challenges that Floridians face every single day. You see, the Florida dream to us is clear. It's the promise that if you work hard, you can get ahead, own a home, raise your family, and give your kids a better shot than you had without government holding you back. In Florida, we have built a strong foundation under former Governor Rick Scott. And under Governor Ron DeSantis, we have supercharged that foundation, making Florida the envy of every state in America.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Have you spent much time in Florida?
A little bit, not recently.
There's a feeling you get when you're there. I went during COVID, right? And it was like, my God, I'm in the United States of America. I just, you just get a good feeling when you go there. I'm hoping to retire there during Governor Donald's second term.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got it all planned out.
Do the math on that. More on Florida coming up, where we're back to the war for the soul of the Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries may well win the speaker's chair. And you've heard the term herding cats.
Uh-huh.
That's what he may be doing, because he's going to get some of these DSA nut jobs who want to destroy our Constitution.
Do Democratic Socialists belong in the Democratic Party, Leader Jeffries?
Well, what I can say is that I do not support defunding the police. I do not support open borders. I do not support abolishing the Senate. We're focused on actually solving problems that hardworking American taxpayers want us to solve, which is to lower the high cost of living in a situation where life is far too expensive in this country. That's the Democratic agenda. That's what House Democrats are fighting to achieve.
Do you think, though, that there is room in the Democratic Party under the tent of the Democratic Party for Democratic Socialists? Is it big enough?
Well, listen, I don't support the DSA agenda as has been articulated by the DSA itself. Now, you're going to have individual members who have been elected in Democratic primaries, and if they are elected in the general in November, will be part of the House Democratic Caucus. It's going to be a broad caucus. There will be progressives, there will be New Dems, there will be Blue Dogs.
Yeah.
Can I play at the beginning of that again?
Yeah.
It's just something funny.
Do Democratic Socialists belong in the Democratic Party, Leader Jeffries?
Well, what I can say is that I do.
Just the way he
The pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the way he's like, it's like, you just asked me a question. It's like, well, what I can say, meaning I'm not going to answer that question, but I'll answer this other
I'm
question.
going to pivot. I'm going to pivot to what I really want to say. But, when he and other Democrats talk about prices are too high in this country and we're going to bring them down, I'd love to know how he's going to do that. So on one issue, he's made this promise that he's going to lower prices in this country after Biden's historic inflation drove it. Because, again, inflation is cumulatory, and Biden drove it to historic highs. Do you think inflation comes down? It doesn't. It starts here from where it was driven up through all the funding money that went through, and then it keeps going up. It builds on that. Right. So if you've got a way that the government can bring down prices, I want to see that blueprint. I really do. And then, I want to see you herding these cats that are going to be coming in, because you're going to have your hands full if you are, in fact, the Speaker of the House. Andrew Cuomo was a lot more direct.
I do think that if Democrats take the House, you are going to have a situation where let's say, Speaker Hakeem Jeffries has to figure out, how am I going to fund the government? How am I going to pass a funding bill that Donald Trump signs? And that's when the real bloodbath begins within the Democratic Party.
I couldn't agree more. Look, you have these moderates who are just afraid of the extreme left. They're just afraid.
They are.
And when they start with this, well, we're a big tent party.
No.
That is a lot of crap. Big tent party meant all races, color, creeds, we're open-minded. But a tent is a finite object. It didn't mean Nazi sympathizers, you're welcome. Anti-Semites, you're welcome. Abolish the police, close prisons, open borders, do away with the Constitution. That's not the Democratic tent. It's just not. But they are afraid, Bill, of the extremists. And they are placating them, and that is going to make the Tea Party of the Democratic Party, and that will make us a fringe party. We will defeat ourselves on this path.
Okay.
One thing I would take issue there with is comparing the Tea Party to what's coming in with the DSA. That's apples and oranges. TSA, or the Tea Party, just looked at our debt that was growing and growing and growing and said, that's insane. We got to do something about it. And obviously that didn't work because
how did that work out?
It didn't work out because we're at $40 trillion. And then you've got so-called moderates within the Democrat Party, to Andrew Cuomo's point, who are pandering to this left wing of their party. And as an example, I pull this: Andy Beshear, who is the alleged moderate Democrat governor of the state of Kentucky, which Kentucky's a moderate state too. That's not California. It's not New York. It's not Oregon or Washington. Kentucky has always been kind of a conservative Democrat state. I wonder if it still is.
But I tell you what, people also think this government is broken. So a fix the darn government constitutional amendment, it is time. It should outlaw partisan redistricting and enshrine part of the Voting Rights Act right there in the Constitution. It should create term limits for Congress and the Supreme Court. No more gaming those appointments. It should also overturn Citizens United, and I think call for direct elections of the president and the vice president. That could actually make things work. A big idea that would, yes, change government, but in a way enshrined in the Constitution where people would know it's going to get better.
I didn't realize you support abolishing the Electoral College. If you're saying direct election of the president and vice president.
Yeah, I've said it a number of times, and it's because in Kentucky, we will never see a candidate for president or vice president unless they're from here. Why? Because people just expect that it'll go one way or the other. It's the idea that someone would get elected not just knowing about 7 states, but having to earn votes all over the United States. I certainly think it's time.
Yeah. So,
that's ironic because if there's direct election of presidents, then you're definitely never going to see one. A candidate.
That was my point.
In Kentucky.
Yeah, you will definitely never see a candidate in Kentucky. To his point, 7 swing states mattered last time, right? Let me take you back to the year 2000 and that election. If Al Gore wins his home state of Tennessee, he is the president and not George W. Bush. Florida would have never mattered if he wins his home state of Tennessee, which he couldn't do. So Tennessee mattered in the year 2000. There are many paths to get you to 270 in the Electoral College. Direct election will concentrate these candidates in blue cities.
Yeah.
They'll never leave the blue cities, and that will change America. And I remind everybody, crack a history book, for God's sake. Find out why we became the United States of America. We were different countries, essentially, and we came together in a compact that said, big states and small states, you both have equal rights here under this thing. And if you take out the Electoral College, you change all that forever. So, and I just don't think the citizens of Kentucky, who I know, who I've grown up with over the course of my life, who are conservative Democrats, they would not be on board with much of what he just said. But to his point, in every presidential election, because of where the time zones are, typically you get 2 states immediately on election returns. Kentucky goes blue, Indiana goes red, and then it builds from there. So is what it is. I just think he's out of step with his own people there, and he's pandering to that far left side with the DSA. One more poke of fun at the DSA. In their America, Kurt, stealing's fine.
saw were crimes of poverty. People who were stealing things like toothpaste, people who were stealing things like, soap. And that means if you're stealing those things, you need them. And we are choosing to protect billion-dollar companies like CVS and Walgreens over the people who are struggling to get by. So I would say that the true crime is that there is such incredible wealth disparity in this city that there are people who can be thrown in jail simply for having a biological need. And so one of the things that I'm fighting for at the state level is to make sure we pass things like treatment, not jail, and that we hold the line on the incredible criminal justice reforms that we have done over the last 10 and 20 years that are constantly being threatened by right-wing media who are looking to fearmonger about people who are actually just in absolute dire straits.
Yeah, deodorants. You need that.
She might want to steal some more broccoli and
you think
celery.
Emily Gallagher's her name. She's a state rep. I don't remember the state, but it's definitely a blue one. And in her world, you need something, you just go in and get it. These are billion-dollar companies; they can afford it. And these same people will whine, bitch, and complain when these big companies say, "You know what? The losses are now unacceptable. We're going to close that store."
Yeah, or charge an extra $2 for the stick of deodorant, or put it behind a sheet of glass where it's locked and you have to get an employee to come get it for you.
Last time I was in Washington, D.C., I stayed at the historic Willard Hotel, and right around the corner from that is either a CVS or a Walgreens. They blend together. And I needed something, and I went in, and literally everything was behind glass.
Yeah.
I had to ask for it.
Except for the sunscreen. That's always the joke.
So there you go. And again, these people will complain when you close the store. And then their ultimate goal, I think, is what's happening in New York. They tried it in Kansas City. And that's the government to get involved. The left wants the government to run every aspect of your life because they think, in their infinite wisdom, that they can do it better than the private sector. And they're never going to get me on board for that. I think that is their plan, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they tried on the car front to basically make it so uncomfortable for you to buy a gas-powered car that you would have no choice but to get the EV.
Mm-hmm.
And, Biden went away. Trump came in and said, come on, we're a market-based economy. And now the EVs, they're all but gone. I mean, the only reason they had a shot was because they had tax credits that went with them. Those tax credits went away with Biden, and now nobody wants an EV.
Come on, man.
Shocking. Well, you want it, they probably will sell you an EV, but they've got the American-made gas-powered engines that you want and you need at Max Motors. Mark Muller owns Max Motors. They're on the web at maxmotors.com, and they're in the outlying areas. Richmond, Clinton, Butler, Nevada. They're selling the American-made brands that you know and love. And because they're in the small towns, they've got low overhead. They can beat the big city dealerships every time. And the service that Mark Muller will provide that I've never heard anybody else providing, and that is you go to his website, Kurt's scrolling through it right now, maxmotors.com. You find the one that you like, you love, and it's like, yeah, I want that one. They'll drive it to your front door, and they will do the deal at your house. Mark said, I want to be the Amazon of car dealers. I'm going to bring the car to you. You pick the one you want, and it'll be the easiest transaction you've ever had with a car. Small town American values, God, family, and country. If you don't buy from Max, Mark says, hey, at least buy American.
America first.
And he contributed to my campaign. I'm sure it's a special interest. I'm sure he's hoping to get something from me, from the county, by contributing to my campaign.
We'll see.
Yeah. Bob Watson, also a contributor to my campaign, is my State Farm agent. Wearing the red today in honor of Bob Watson and his 50-plus years. He's on a cruise in Alaska with some family. Bobby's living the good life. He's got a full staff there in Blue Springs that takes care of your needs. He's the name on the front door, though. Never make that, never misunderstand that. Bob Watson is the man.
And he likes fly fishing, too.
He does.
To his
He's
website.
very much an outdoors kind of a guy.
He is the most interesting man in the world. 816-229-7878.
Auto, home, life, commercial insurance. Bundle your home and car insurance. You'll save even more. And when you're with State Farm, maybe you're going to be one of those people who gets part of that $5 billion in checks that are coming out because State Farm had such a great year and they want to share it with all of their policy holders. Let's go back to Florida for a second. The DSA did get a big win. They will have the Democrat nominee for Senate. Her name is Angie Nixon. She's going to face off against Ashley Moody, the Republican appointed to fill out Marco Rubio's term. I don't think she's going to win. Knowing the demographics of Florida the way that I do, I don't see that happening. But she does, Kurt, have a bullhorn.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. There's a black woman speaking.
Yeah.
Y'all better shut up and listen.
They see the people with their phones out shooting a video.
Yeah.
If she won, do you see that happening on the floor of the United States Senate?
Every day. I'm all for her winning because it'll be a clown show every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
We'll put C-SPAN 2 up in here just so that we can follow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry for that audio,
that's okay.
brief audio issue there.
Yeah. So that scene, I think she's a Florida senator or Florida House member or something. So that's where that was taken. It did remind me of Morgan Freeman, who's one of my favorite actors of all time. Have you ever seen the movie Lean on Me?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, he plays the principal, Crazy Joe, they call me. And he, an inner city school that he was trying to shape up and make great again. And he walked around the school with a bullhorn.
All right, people, let's settle down in here. Now, settle down, quiet down. Let those who are trying to eat their lunch digest. Robert, boy, get out of here. You had lunch at fourth period. Go on.
If Mr. O'Malley didn't do anything, Mr. Clark isn't going to do anything.
Louisa,
What is he going to bite my
you're
head?
looking mighty good today. I'm gonna have to tell these boys to watch out. You kids having any problems?
Yeah, she is. Tell him.
Louisa?
Oh, Mr. Clark, why do I have to take home ec? I want to take auto shop. I have brothers and sisters. My mother works. I've been cooking for 11 years. Does it look like I don't cook?
Yeah, I just wanted to get the bullhorn in there.
Yep.
It's a bullhorn scene.
It is a bullhorn scene.
Making bullhorns great again.
Yes.
I think we should bring the bullhorn back.
Yeah, I unironically hope she wins.
I may well bring a bullhorn to next week's recording of the podcast. Can I just sit back here with my bullhorn?
Yeah. Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll find one. It'll have to be cheap. It's not really worth the expense. So another episode coming up next week. We're getting close to Labor Day weekend. All kinds of fun stuff coming up. We have more guests lined up. So please join us again. Subscribe, share, be part of the fun here. And when we put stuff up on the Facebook page, remember, it's not life and death. Nobody's going to die. Just sometimes we're poking fun. Just poke fun back and keep the swearing to a minimum. Yeah?
Sounds good.
All right. Till next week, this is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.